Candace Owens and Kanye West have made headlines once again. This time their publicity stunt was to wear a t-shirt saying "White Lives Matter." Now, this is mainly controversial for many reasons, which I will get into. As we all know, they are both very pro-conservative, very pro-Trump. You know, they love Trump probably more than he loves himself. They previously collaborated on a project called Blexit, which is essentially encouraging Black Americans to leave the Democratic Party. They managed to resolve things and are still friends to this day, even though Candace has very recently called the ex-wife and mother of his children essentially a prostitute. Now, in her most recent video that she posted to her podcast, she sat down and explained why exactly she would wear such a thing and still stands by her message.
Why did Candace Owens and Kanye West wear White Lives Matter t-shirts last night at his Yeezy Season 9 show here in Paris? I'm still in Paris. Here's the shirt, by the way. If you're listening, you can probably find it anywhere online. It seems we broke the internet, but if you're watching, here it is, the notorious White Lives Matter shirt, which has inspired a meltdown, a breakdown for some people. I think my question is, why? Why did this t-shirt or our t-shirts inspire such a meltdown for so many people?
Now, I have to say, I have actually watched a lot of Candace Owens footage. My previous video actually coincidentally happened to be about Candace Owens. And having watched that and watched this video, I mean, her tone, her attitude, and her perspective is so insanely arrogant and obtuse. I'm convinced that she licks her own ass every single night. Now, I did give her a fair chance. I watched all 28 minutes and 45 seconds of this video, and I tried to come at it from a I won't say neutral. I would try to come from this from a very calm, level-headed position so that I could really listen to what she was saying and, you know, kind of take my emotions and my kind of preconceived ideas out of it first. What I gathered was she is very purposefully and deliberately trying to undermine the Black Lives Matter movement. Not only the organisation, which is just undebatably sketchy, but also the movement itself. Now, we all know how corrupt and immoral, frankly, the Black Lives Matter organisation is. If you didn't know, the founders basically stole everyone's money that was donated to the Black Lives Matter movement. There were all these killings and shootings of these unarmed Black American men, and they use these donations to essentially benefit themselves and to profit themselves. And I realised this a while ago, and I actively stopped using the Black Lives Matter slogan just purely for the reason that it's associated with those corrupt individuals. I can say the same thing for a lot of charities as well. Not to say that Black Lives Matter is a charity, it's not, but a lot of so-called, you know, non-profits, charities, Red Cross, could go on. These have a lot of nefarious goings on. When you have large organizations that are, you know, supposedly trying to be altruistic and benefit people less fortunate, there's always some shady, always some corrupt things going on, which is why just generally you have to be very careful with who you give your money to. And, you know, you could have all your good intentions, but you know, the road to hell is paved by good intentions. So that's just a side thing, is that, you know, this situation is not unique to Black Lives Matter. A lot of these sort of, you know, altruistic organizations are bloody corrupt. She believes that the Black Lives Matter movement, the slogan, is completely misguided. She does not believe that police killings and, you know, the whole white and black conflict in America is the main reason for the plight of Black people. So from watching the whole video, I gathered 5 key elements that she would rather we focus on as Black people than focusing on white supremacy. If she were to list 100 things that are putting Black people down or damaging the Black community, white supremacy would not be on that list.
White supremacy and white nationalism, if I had to make a list again of 100 things, would not be on it.
Now, the 5 key points that she's highlighted are abortion, lack of education, obesity, Black on Black crime, and the use of the N-word, or rather reclaiming the N-word amongst Black Americans or Black people in general. I will get into all of these things. So as a conservative, we all know that Candace Owens is staunchly pro-life. She was pro the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And this isn't going to be an abortion video. We're not even going to have that debate. But going off of Candace's words, the number of abortions that Black women have performed has been in the millions. Now, she made an interesting point that tragedies like the Holocaust, genocides around the world are looked upon with sympathy, as they should, and she views the many abortions that take place in America by Black women as kind of on the same level as that.
Abortion in America has contributed to the greatest decline in Black population since the first Black slaves arrived.
That is one of her key reasons for being pro-life, is that she believes that Black women getting these abortions performed are basically essentially committing genocide of their own people. Now, the education rates. Yes, the education rates just generally in America just seem like very poor to me. I just think the whole education system in America is deeply flawed, regardless of Black or white. I just think it's a very flawed system. She threw some stats and some facts into there, so she does have a point. I just think generally this education system in America is just deeply, deeply flawed. Needs to be revised, needs to be restructured. Now, obesity, I think that's a similar problem with education. I just think, look, America, you have a fat problem. Clearly, you have a very big fat problem, no pun intended. Like, America is what, like the most obese nation in the world? I'm going to double check that. And yes, we know when you are obese, you're more likely to get certain diseases, certain illnesses. Obesity is the #1 killer in America. I know also in the UK, obesity is a big public health problem, and which is why there's so many initiatives, so many projects to get people to watch their calories, to get moving more. I know we also have a sugar tax in the UK that kind of reduces people's intake of sugar. So you're charged more for the more sugar you want to consume in your foods and your drinks. And according to Candace, Black women have the highest rate of obesity in the US. Then there's the reclaiming of the N-word. So I know this is a very contentious issue. A lot of Black people have been going back and forth about this. This is a topic that is very divided amongst Black people. I am definitely on the side of get rid of the word. No one should use it, Black or white. I just think it's such a heavy loaded word with so much pain and trauma associated with it. I just don't believe in reclaiming the word. Same as reclaiming the word queer, bitch, things like that. My take is I don't believe in reclaiming words that have just been used as slurs or, to put down certain sets of people. Never refer to myself as a bitch. Absolutely not. I mean, maybe amongst my friends, but absolutely not the N-word. But then the way she goes about making that point is just so sickening to me. Like, watch this.
I have to imagine that there is some alternative universe where people are just sitting back laughing. Like they're playing, it's almost a video game at this point. They're sitting back and they're thinking, okay, no way. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Ready? It's like Practical Jokers or Ashton Kutcher in Punk'd in MTV. We're sitting in a van and we're like, do you think that you could get Black people to actually just call themselves the N-word? No way. They're not that stupid. They're not, yeah. Oh my God, they're doing it. They're actually doing it. They're saying the N-word. They're calling themselves. Okay. I'm gonna level up here. Do you think that you can get Black people to not only call themselves the N-word, but to be mad if anybody else says it outside of them? Like it's just their word. Oh my God, Black, they're actually doing it.
Whose perspective is she speaking from there? Because it's giving very much, the perspective of the white gaze. Now, it's one thing to say that you don't like reclaiming the N-word because of the reasons that I previously said. But the way she's framing it is like, how does this look to other people? Who are these other people that she is alluding to? Because it's not Black people that she's saying, how does it look to us ourselves? No, how does it look to other people? And to me, that is very much saying, how does it look to white people, her white peers? It makes her look bad. That's really essentially what all of this is about. All of this, the way a lot of Black people conduct themselves, it makes her look bad and she doesn't like being associated with it.
Oh, Candace Owens, we don't want you in our culture. You don't understand Black culture. I have to keep reminding you that I don't want to be a part of this culture. I want to destroy it. I want to destroy it further than it's already destroyed itself. I want to go backward. Your idea of progressivism is clearly regressive.
Now, interesting that, her buddy, her partner in crime, Kanye West, liberally uses the N-word in all his music. I mean, kind of interesting that they're in Paris at the moment and he has a very famous song, N-words in Paris. Have you had a word with him about using the N-word? Someone that you admire and inspires you so much, who is one of the main proponents currently of the N-word in music. Now, the main thing that really bothered me in all these points, because yeah, she has made some good points, particularly when it comes to education, broken homes as well. But she then uses a term that is just honestly makes my skin crawl. Black on black crime. Black on black crime is a myth. It is something that was created to pit Black people in a negative way. Have you ever heard of white on white crime? Asian on Asian crime, mixed race on mixed race crime? It sounds ridiculous, because it is ridiculous. So why don't we see Black on black crime that same way? Most people that commit murder, it is against their own race. So most white people that are killed by other white people. Most Asian people that are killed by Asians. And the same thing goes for black people. Now, yes, granted that is to a higher degree.
The incarceration rates allow you to understand the result without ever having to talk about the problem, right? You don't have to talk about the equation. I'll just give you the answer. Black men are incarcerated, right? It says here that there are nearly 5 times the rate of black men in prison than white people. Oh, perfect narrative. It must be racism. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that we're the most murderous group in America. It has nothing to do with that. Of course, 1 + 1 = 2, but let's focus on the 2 and not the 1 + 1. Let's focus on everything except for the fact that we also know that these individuals that are ending up in prison, or these individuals that are ending up killed, or these infants that are being taken out of their mother's own womb, they're all coming from broken families.
40% of homicides in the US are committed by black men. Now, yes, that is a lot. But if you look at it at face value, then of course you're going to be like, what the hell is going on? Are black people just naturally inclined to be violent? Like, is that the problem here? Gang banging, murdering, all that kind of violent behavior. But why don't we take a deeper look into why maybe the black community is having these issues? There's things that kind of go hand in hand. I think a great way to explain it is actually by Akala. Now, I have his book right here, Akala Natives. I recommend this book to absolutely everyone. I think it's a great read, breaking down race and class. This is specific to the UK because I live in the UK. I'm going to read a small part of this. I think he explains it a lot better than I could. Despite hundreds of millions of white people killing each other throughout European history, witch hunts, mass hangings, torture and sexual, and despite the fact that the 2 most violent regions of Britain in the 1990s were almost entirely white, there was no such thing as white-on-white violence. Yet, apparently, working-class black Londoners had imported from America a rap-induced mystery gene similar to the slave sprint one that caused black people to kill not for all of the complex reasons that other humans kill, but simply because they are black. And sometimes because they listen to too much rap, grime or dancehall. This is, after all, what the phrase black on black crime is designed to suggest, is it not? That black people are not like the rest of humanity and that they do not kill as a complex result of political, historical, economic, cultural, religious and psychological factors. They kill simply because of their skin, their excessive melanin syndrome. I like that. That's like a very clever way of putting it, excessive melanin syndrome. It's a clear trend that when you see very impoverished, marginalised, malnourished areas of a country or any part of a city, those tend to be the most violent, poorly educated areas. Akala gives an example of Glasgow. Glasgow for a long time was the Chicago of Europe. They've had very high rates of violence, very low education, they're a very poor area, and that area was mostly white. Are we saying because of their whiteness, white on white crime? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's a lot of factors that come into why people turn to violence. All these generations of oppression, lack of education, miseducation, alcohol flooding their communities, drugs being pumped into their communities, homes being broken up, which yes, Candace has always made a point to mention. Broken homes is a big thing. But a lot of these things that she didn't mention contributes to violence in these communities. The way you speak down and mock and ridicule people that you don't agree with is disgusting. And no, I don't agree with the founders and leaders of Black Lives Matter, their actions, their crimes, frankly, against the community that they wish to serve. I don't agree with it, but I certainly don't agree with the way that Candace and Kanye have gone about perpetuating their ideas. You know, the people that do say white lives matter, the same people that stand for white nationalism, the same people that say white pride, the same people that say things like,
we're a white nation, founded by and for the white man.
I want the alt-right to be outlandish. I want the alt-right to be a little shocking. Like that's how we're going to communicate our message.
If Africans had never existed, world history would be almost exactly the same as it is today.
Yeah, you just keep
because we are the genius that drives it.
And I think people like you and Kanye, no matter how well-spoken, rich, well-dressed, put together, articulate you are, no matter all those things, they will still see you as a second-class human. At best. So yes, you can sit in your fancy Parisian hotel room and have breakfast served to you on a silver platter, but that doesn't detract that you are portraying yourself as an emboldened, self-hating fool. Yes, you have some good points, you really do, but at what cost? Who are you trying to talk to with this message? You're not trying to reach people that don't agree with you. I'm not saying to pander to people to try and get them on your side, but certainly I don't think using a slogan that is you know yourself is going to incite such anger and such vitriol from these people. They're not even going to listen to your message. And you do have good points, Candace, you do, but why are you alienating people that could do with listening to some of your points and getting their shit together? Calling people like Cardi B illiterate and, you know, just saying horrible things about her.
Let's give Cardi B a Grammy. She barely even speaks English. I know she just like makes noises. What if we gave her a bunch of followers and promoted her and had her further denigrate the language, tell people to be proud that they're ghetto, make them think that it's cool, that it's popular? Do you think that we could do it? Yes, let's do it. And so it goes.
And there was the election going on. She did have an interview, I think, with Joe Biden at the time. I'm not saying the interview was right or wrong, but she did expose a lot of her fans to politics. Is it in the right way? Debatable. But instead of maybe getting with her and saying, okay, maybe come on my show, we can have a conversation. No, you ridiculed her and made fun of her for expressing herself the way that she can. How many people are out there that are supposedly illiterate and maybe want to do better for themselves, but there's people like you making fun of them, belittling them, mocking them, and coming from a holier than thou position. I do not respect that at all. Dr. Jordan Peterson, I actually watched his most recent interview with Piers Morgan. I'm going to do a video about that, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you're subscribed. He made several good points actually throughout that interview, but particularly relating to this, he would reflect back on interviews that he's done or talks that he's given, and he would reflect back on maybe the way he delivered some of these messages. Although he absolutely stood by the messages and the points that he was making, he thought maybe the way that I'm delivering these messages could be different to, you know, attract people that maybe are switched off.
So, for example, I got banned from Twitter recently for making a statement that I don't regret, by the way. But I had two friends of mine, grill me, and I put that on YouTube. It's called Mean Tweets. It was an hour and a half, I said. And both of them are very, very smart people. One of them's more liberal than I am, I would say, but a very good advocate for that liberal position. And I said, well, let's hash this out. There's some things I've said that have made people angry, and you think I made them unnecessarily angry, and that I was unnecessarily harsh in my tone.
Did they change your mind?
They changed my approach, you know, because one of the things I decided was that I would try to be equally judicious in my words, but that I would use a calmer and more measured tone. And I don't mean use instrumentally. I mean that I would attempt to make the effort to take as much unnecessary emotion out of the statement as possible. And so I started to do that in some of my more recent videos. What happened was the response was much more positive and much less negative. So there was no downside to it. So people didn't say, some people said, I think that I liked your tone when you were more aggressive, especially on issues like this. But by and large, it worked even better because I could be careful in what I was discriminating. And then to ally that with calmness actually made it more potent rather than less. I had a lot of people with me in Miami when this was happening, across the political spectrum. We had a very healthy debate for a couple of hours about whether or not I had gone beyond some reasonable limit in the way I was conducting myself, say, on YouTube and Twitter. And some people were very strongly advocating for more of what I was doing and even harsher. And others were saying, well, you're alienating people that you could otherwise communicate with unnecessarily.
Because guess what? Otherwise, you're preaching to the choir. You are going to have an echo chamber. The arrogance with which she speaks with, the way that she's alienating people with publicity stunts like this is not helping her cause. It really isn't. Attention seeking and using black outrage, because that's exactly what it is. Black outrage is the perfect marketing tool, and a lot of companies realize that when they have something new to launch or something to advertise, they will instigate black outrage. That is doing something to offend the majority of the black population, get them talking, get them angry, get them talking on social media, and that brings more attention to the thing that they want more publicity for. If you didn't know, Candace Owens is producing a documentary about Black Lives Matter. She actually, I think it's coming out later this year, exposing the Black Lives Matter organisation for all the corruption that's been going on there. So this is a great way to bring publicity to that, as well as her new podcast that has been launched in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, great job there, because a lot of the points that she's making in that video, she has said for years. After watching a lot of footage, she has been consistent in saying these points for years now, but she's now gone to this resort to get people to listen to her by angering them, by frustrating them, by essentially mocking things that they hold dear to themselves. There are a lot of good ways to get your point across. If you believe so wholeheartedly in your message, why don't let your documentary come out and let it speak for itself? Why go to such measures such as this that are very hurtful to your own community, because you do have good points, you do have good talking points, but it's been overshadowed by the hurt that you've inflicted upon the community which you so badly want to help. Because for a lot of people, Black Lives Matter means their friends, their family members that have been harassed, bullied, killed by people in authority, being the police. So mocking that is essentially mocking these people's life experiences that you might not be able to relate to. I just think you can do a lot better. It is attention seeking and it is a cheap publicity tactic. It's just so clear that she loves the attention, like, well, me and Kanye broke the internet, or why are people so bothered about us wearing White Lives Matter? You knew it would bother people, you knew exactly what would happen, you got the attention that you wanted, congratulations. That was the most heated I've been for a while. That's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, then leave a like. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I think this is a very interesting conversation to be had. I will link another video for you to watch, so make sure you come back and make sure you're subscribed to this channel. So I'll see you guys later.